Okay, the next section is going to be tint, shade, and a value scale with tints and shades versus a value scale with just the pencil pressure. So a tint and a shade are different types of a color. A tint is your lighter version of the color. A shade is your darker version of the color. Now, a lot of people use this word shade to describe dark or lighter versions of the color. Shade really is just the darker version. Think about the shade under a tree. It makes the grass look darker. So with a shade, you add black, and with a tint, you add white. So I'm going to pick up my blue pencil that I have been working with for my entire sheet, and I am going to start with just a linear stroke to fill in this box lightly. Then I am going to switch to my white colored pencil and do a linear stroke horizontal, so going in the opposite direction, another very light layer. I'm going to go back over with my blue, another very light layer, and I am constantly going in the opposite direction of the layer that I'm adding before. So horizontal, then vertical, horizontal, then vertical. So with the tint, you're going to constantly be going back and forth over and over with your two values or your two colors until you get a nice even surface. This is also called burnishing with colored pencil, when you use the pencil to create a nice smooth layer. Now your colored pencils are a waxy binder with pigment in them. So when you completely fill in a space, then that pigment is pushed around by that waxy binder, and your waxy binder completely takes over your paper, and it's super smooth, and it will actually feel like a wax candle. So I'm going to go over one more time with my white. You always want to finish with your lighter color. So here, my lighter color is the white. And I can go over it one more time. It's not really going to make too much of a difference. It might change the texture a little bit. But we can see that this tint is much lighter than the base color. So now I'm going to work on the shade, which is my blue and black. Whenever you're adding black to a color, I really actually don't like adding black at all. I create my shades with other colors, but if you need to add black to a color, you want to make sure that you do it super, super smooth, because black will change the color very quickly, and black tends to look streaky. So a good way to add black into a shade is to work in your oval or circular stroke instead of working in a linear fashion. A linear fashion will create lines. An oval or circle stroke will give you a more consistent texture. So then I can go back over this, making sure I go top to bottom, corner to corner, and add another layer of my black. Again, black will change your color very quickly, so you might find that you do not need to do as many layers, or you might find that you're adding more blue than you are black, which is totally okay. You need to make sure that this box is darker than this box here. So continuing to add my blue, going over this over and over and over. I am going to finish with my blue because it is my lighter color now. Since black is darker than everything else, you will always finish with your pure color, the pure color being the one that you are trying to augment or change. Here I'm going back and forth in a linear fashion because it's a little bit faster. I can get this demonstration done for you. All right, so that definitely looks pretty good. I can go over this, giving my pencil a little bit more pressure, not completely pushing down to make it solid, but just building up a thicker layer of colored pencil, making sure that it looks okay and that it looks dark enough. I feel like it needs to be just a little bit darker. So I'm gonna go back over with my black pencil, adding just one more layer of black, and then finishing off with my layer of blue. One thing that you want to be cautious of is making sure that you do not work your colored pencil all the way down to the wood, because that wood, as you get to the end, will scratch your colored pencil and it will leave marks in your paper. All right, working on your value scale with tints and shades. So we'll have a tint on the one side and a shade on the other, and our pure color in the center. So start with that pure color, and I like to lay the pure color in pretty dark. That way it's solid and I know that's not going to change. Then I work from one end, or from the center out to one end, changing my pencil pressure, making it lighter and lighter and lighter as it goes out. And I do that on both sides. Because on one side it's going to get darker, so I'm going to add more black, and on the other side it's going to get lighter, so I'm going to add more white. So you're going to create a smooth blend out from your pure color to your tint, and from your pure color to your shade. So let me just go over how to add it to the tint side. That way you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to start here at the very beginning by just pressing down with my white pretty hard to get a nice solid area there. And then I'm going to work just like before, where I am pressing down and then making less and less pressure as I go towards my pure color. But you can see I'm going all the way to my pure color, but I am not covering over my pure color. Then I'm going to take my blue and lessen the pressure as I go out towards the white. And I'm going to go all the way up to that very first section, but not covering it. And again, going this way, building up those layers, making more solid values. Good colored pencil will have anything from 5 to 20 layers. Sometimes I lose track of how many layers I put down on my colored pencil, but once it's solid and once it's smooth, it looks really nice. So you want to make sure that you are building up these values by creating layers. Colored pencil is all about creating layers. So then I'll finish this off with just another layer of white, making sure that that value blends. So light to my deep color, and then I'll go from my shade to my deep color. Okay, so that is creating gradations using pencil pressure from the last video and tints and shades. Make sure that you finish your shade section. I'm not going to do it because it'll take up too much of your time.